Okay, contractors is probably the hardest part about real estate investing. It's definitely harder than finding the money. It's definitely harder than financing. You may think that it's financing and finding the money, but I'm telling you it's not. It's working with contractors, okay? Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Wealth Within Reach, and I have another mini real estate episode for you guys today. Today we're going to talk about 5 mistakes that I see newbie real estate investors make and how you can avoid them. All right, this is another one you're going to need pen and pad. You want to jot this down. Let's get into it. All right, number one, the number one newbie investor real estate mistake that I see people make all the time is not separating their business and personal finances. This is so important. Not only does it scream liability, like you host an Airbnb guest and somebody falls in your house and they want to sue you, and it just screams liability. But from a tax standpoint, I hate that you worked super hard to, take the risk to buy an investment property so that now that you can actually start making money and not be able to take advantage of all the amazing tax benefits that come from being an investor because you're commingling your personal and business finances. That you're not going to be able, you're actually leaving so much more money on the table. And I see this all the time, and it really holds people back. And it actually really, it holds you back from being able to increase your cash flow because you have not separated your business and personal expenses. When you separate your business and your personal expenses, what that does is that allows the IRS to look at your real estate business like a true business. Because believe it or not, it's not just a hobby. You are running a real business. And because America loves housing, the housing, the health of the U.S. economy is based off of what? Jobs and housing, okay? And as real estate investors, the IRS actually incentivizes us for providing housing. But in order to do that, you have to be able to track your expenses and know how much money you spent on property management, how much money you spent on cleaners, how much income you actually received. And this is just something that I don't think people really take serious, and this actually holds them back. Recently, I did what's called a cost segregation study. We don't have to get all into that in detail, but because I hire a bookkeeper and pay them I started out paying a bookkeeper $18, an hour for 3 hours a month. I mean, it's cheap, y'all. It's really cheap. And I started out hiring a bookkeeper to manage my finances. And because I was able to do that and separate my finances, I would actually, because I invested in real estate and I took risks, even though I make multiple 6 figures, I have been able to get tax refunds. Okay, guys, refunds. That means they giving me money back. And it's not because I'm claiming some type of a bunch of kids or anything like that. No, it's because I actually know the tax code and I have a team that actually manages my books correctly and separates my personal and business expenses. So because I actually get refunds for being a real estate investor, even though I make multiple 6 figures, I'm able to take those refunds and then use that to invest and buy more real estate. Okay. So the very problem you have finding capital could be because you are commingling your personal and your business expenses. The number two rookie newbie investor mistake that I see investors make all the time is themselves, your mindset holding you back. Okay, tell me if you can probably relate to 1 or 2 of these scenarios. You have too many options. You've watched too many YouTube shows. You've read too many books. You've attended too many conferences. And you got so many options, you don't even know which one to do first. Or you're so scared, you are so terrified. You're thinking about doing it, but you're so terrified that it just scares you to even think about it, right? So if you're in a place where you have too much knowledge and you're not making a decision, and your biggest problem isn't that you don't know what decision to make. Your biggest problem is that your mindset is holding you back from actually taking action. Too much knowledge produces a lack of action. So what you actually need in order to feel comfortable to move forward is experience. Okay? And so for the person who is just terrified and you have a lot of fear, but you don't actually know, you don't have the knowledge, your fear is an indication that you actually need to increase your knowledge, okay? And so recognizing that and recognizing how your mindset may be holding you back is the number one thing that is keeping you from becoming a real estate investor. Number 3, not running your numbers as a newbie real estate investor. Okay, guys, I'm gonna say this, and I hope you guys hear me, especially the person in the back. Rental income minus mortgage does not equal cash flow. Not true. No matter what the rental real estate influencers say, is not true. I have a student who actually came to me and joined my mentorship program. She had a couple properties by the time she joined my program, and she wanted to learn how to actually run her business like a business. You know, she wanted to take it seriously because with her couple properties, she's seen that there was opportunity there to really do something with this. And once she went through my mentorship program, and I actually taught her how to calculate all the expenses, how to use various tools and things like, if that sounds intimidating, how to leverage various tools that can do it for you. She actually found out that one of her rental properties was in the negative, that she was actually losing money on one of her rental properties. And so that's why it's so important to actually have a mentor, have someone that can actually help you to learn how to run your numbers, so you don't get into a place where you're actually losing money instead of like earning money because you made a rookie mistake trying to do it on your own. The 4th newbie investor real estate mistake that I see folks make all the time is not actually having a clear property management plan. Whew, this is the big one. Okay, guys, did you hear the news? I am giving away a fully turnkey house. Yes, you heard that correct. I am giving away a fully renovated house at the Owning It and Living It experience. You gotta be in the room though to win the house. It is November 1st through 3rd at the Intercontinental Hotel in Buckhead. Go to experience.owningitandlivingit.com to grab your ticket today before the prices go up. I'll see you in November. So, and this kind of ties into not running your business like a business. I see people, newbie investors, giving their tenants their phone numbers, their real phone numbers, you know, letting them call them all hours of the night, not having leases in place, just doing all kind of, letting them cash out them, their rents, like all kind of crazy stuff that just puts you in all kind of issues. Like it's really, it actually makes things so much harder for you. Like you work super hard to, you know, to build this real estate investment portfolio that's supposed to give you time back. And because of your lack of property management plan and guidance, is actually costing you more time because you're answering questions at 10 o'clock at night because the tenants is like, you know, my toilet is stuffed and I need somebody to bring me a plunger. But because you actually didn't have a property management plan and you didn't actually have someone that taught you how to, here is how you actually separate your personal, you know, and your business communication. Here is how you actually set up a property management software. And when you actually have your lease, your tenant sign your lease, you walk them through, here's what I'm responsible for, here's what you're responsible for. When you have an emergency, you're not calling me because you don't have my number. You're going to go to this website, the same website that you submit your rent, and you're going to fill out a claim. You're going to fill out basically a ticket for your repair. And then not only are you gonna fill out a ticket, because what I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna just take your word for it and pay somebody to come out and it turns out you just need a new light bulb. You're gonna send me a picture before I even call someone, okay? Newbie real estate investors not having that experience, not having that knowledge, not having a plan to make sure that the property management is tight so that they can actually save time and money versus creating a whole separate job for real estate, right? Real estate isn't, you know, a lot of times it's not completely passive, but it can be significantly more passive if you have the right guidance, if you have the right property management team. And you may say, oh no, that's okay. I don't even need that because I'm a higher property manager. Let me tell you this, all property managers are not created equal. I have helped lots of people who have quote unquote property management companies that aren't actually property managing. And they don't actually know until they actually go out and visit their property themselves and they see how much disrepair that the property is in. I have a great example of this, and it really cost them big time. Some apartments that I bought the apartments, I went under contract, we did the inspection. We noticed when we did the inspection, when I was under contract, that each unit, the bathroom was sinking in. The bathroom and kitchen were sinking in. When we dug a little bit deeper to figure out why is every single unit, why does this bathroom, the floor needs to be replaced? Why is the foundation sinking in each and every unit? And it turns out, you know why? You know why all those floors were sinking? Because of leaking toilets. Decades of leaking toilets. So because there were decades of poor property management and leaking toilets, I was able to get the apartments $100,000 cheaper than they would have been able to sell it for if they had not had that type of structural issue. So again, for y'all who's like, oh, I have a property management company, I'm good. That's a newbie investor mistake, because at the end of the day, when it comes to you, you are the asset manager, even if you have a property manager. So that's why it's important to get the right expert knowledge and advice to make sure you have all of your checks and balances and systems in place. That's what I love about the Owning and Living in Community, because we provide our students with tons of resources and checklists and modules and softwares and all those types of things to make sure that you guys have a plan for the things that you don't know that you may even have to deal with in the future. All right, guys, I left the best one for you guys at the end. Number 5, newbie investor real estate mistake is dealing with contractors. And that's a whole situation in itself. Okay, contractors is probably the hardest part about real estate investing. It's definitely harder than finding the money. It's definitely harder than financing. You may think that it's financing and finding the money, but I'm telling you it's not. It's working with contractors, okay? You could be working with a contractor that is good for, man, they could be good for 5 years. I've had a contractor that we moving in group for 5 years. In year 5, I don't know what the hell happened to him. He lost his mind and I had to fire him, okay? And that's how contractors are. But the biggest newbie investor mistake I see is that for people who never have done renovations or anything like that, paying contractors money up front. I don't do it. I don't do it, okay? There are ways that you can get your renovation done, that you can get your project started without having to pay a contractor a lot of money up front. All right. And so that's a big newbie investor mistake that I've seen made. I have seen people that have hired contractors. They put down 50% up front because that's what they say the standard is. And they do 20% of the work and then they're done, right? Because they took that money that they got and they used it on another project. Or they took your money and they have to use it on materials for another project that they mismanaged from another project, okay? And that's how it works. So let me give you a quick tip of what I do to get around that. Recently, I had to replace a roof on one of my properties, and we're working with a new roofer that I've never worked with before. So again, I am not going to pay the money up front. They requested that the roof was around, $6,000, and he said, okay, I need 50% up front. I said, why? He said, for materials. I said, okay, no problem. I said, I'm not going to pay you the 50% up front, but what I can do is I can pay for the materials. I do what's called a phone sale. And Home Depot, Lowe's, all the major retailers do it, where the contractor, they go to the place, to the vendor, they pick up the materials, they do all the little things they need to do, and then they get to the Home Depot person or whatever the vendor is, and the vendor calls you. And then you can actually have the people on the phone verify what they are buying, okay? You have them verify what they are buying. You pay the vendor directly over the phone, online, whatever it is. The contractor has materials, they do the job. And then I pay them once the work is done. And so I hope that saved you guys some money, because don't be out here paying these folks up front, okay? All right, so tell me, what was your biggest takeaway from this episode? Thanks so much for attending another episode of Wealth Within Reach. I will see you on the next one.